What's going on, everybody? Doing a little follow-up to my invisible intervention video. It was only a minute long. I didn't really give a good explanation of the events kind of leading up to it, and I think maybe you guys kind of deserve an explanation. But so I said I was listening to a Sasquatch Chronicles episode. Before that, I was listening to an interview of Mel Scahan on the Xeno Hunters channel, Xeno Hunters, and that actually, I think, really is some spiritual Bigfoot. You know, people would consider it some woo stuff, but it's coming from the Native American tradition, and it's very interesting to consider this information. So I'm sitting there listening to this Part 2 Mel Scahan interview on Xeno Hunters before this all happened, and then the episode ended and I was listening to Sasquatch Chronicles, and this particular item fell off the refrigerator while I was thinking about a mountain behind a picture that I was in that looked like a pyramid to me, like a triangle, and then this thing falls off the wall. But this, whatever you guys call woo and all that, you're gonna have to accept that people are experiencing this, just like people see the dog man and people are in denial of that, yet they can believe in the Bigfoot. I mean, how are you gonna deny people's experiences? You know, it's really rude. But I mean, I'm coming out and I'm willing to admit that this stuff is happening to me, you know, and whether or not people want to believe that, that's fine, because, you know, I've had items moved in the home. There has been some things I'm not even going to talk about that you would probably say, yeah, right, that is like amazing beyond belief stuff, but things happen, you know, people have seen some stuff, and I think you gotta open yourself up spiritually to the Sasquatch if you want to really have this communication with them. And I think they're communicating to us, and by denying our experiences, we are essentially shutting our ears to them, which is extremely rude. If somebody tried to speak to you, a deaf person, and they came up to you and attempted to speak to you and sign and signal and use body language, etc., to communicate with you, and you were so arrogant that you said, oh, I don't have time for this person, and you walked away on them, that would be considered very rude. And I think by denying experience with the Sasquatch, we're being rude to them. But this item here, my stepdaughter brought home, this magnet is very sticky, okay? It's like, you know, it's not just gonna fall off. And I've re-adhered this thing 2 or 3 times now, just in studying how the hell did that happen, you know, and what went on. And I, you know, I mean, even if a kid was pulling on it and it was stuck to the refrigerator, I do not think that this is gonna peel off so easily. And it was just amazing, the irony and the timing of my thought coinciding with the shape of this object falling off the refrigerator. So, like I said, things are happening to people. If you watch some of the channels like Fur and Cedar, they have a psychic that supposedly communicates with the Sasquatch. Now, it's very interesting just to listen to the guests that they have on there, the people that they're interviewing and researching and, you know, finding out about their experiences, because it has to do with a lot of the psychic Sasquatch stuff. And I was always into the Bigfoot ever since I got a laptop and got on the internet and joined YouTube and started looking at videos in like 2008. But once I started experiencing the psychic Sasquatch stuff and having items moved in my home and having these weird coincidences happen to me, and I started realizing there was more to it, because I was watching channels like Sasquatch Ontario, and I was listening to interviews like of Cooney Lapsaritis, and I mean, I'm putting deep thought into the issue of the Sasquatch and all aspects of Sasquatch as I uncovered and discovered it. You know, just totally unbiased, looking into all the stuff with an open mind, believing in people, believing that what people say that they've experienced is real, up to the point that I start having experiences. And that led me out into the woods, and I decided, I'm going to go. I was really inspired by Rio, Utah Sasquatch, and I wanted to do the project Go and See. But it was more to find the structures and just find proof that they were out there, and that I didn't have to travel 2 hours to go find them, that I could find them close to me. And it almost helped justify the psychic Sasquatch experiences that I was having, because as I'm experiencing these things for the first time, even, I'll tell you this story, the first time anything ever happened, I started imagining and thinking in my head, well, if these things are psychic, and there's reports and video of them from Conifer and Bailey, which is only like a 20 to 40 minute drive, 25 to 40 minute drive from where I am, then surely some of these creatures could, they got big strides. They could be walking towards me right now as I'm thinking of them, and they could physically travel the distance of where they're at to where I am in the amount of time that it's taking me to watch this 2-hour long interview. And then things started really clicking, and I started really considering some of these things, and my beliefs and my experiences and what I know and what's around and how close Bigfoot could be. And all of a sudden I'm having an experience where an item was moved after I'm contemplating if these are real experiences and if stuff like this is really happening. And that was kind of like the first confirmation for me. My laptop case was thrown off of my couch like 4 feet onto the floor after I'm driving home, just thinking if all this stuff is real and if it would really happen, and I'm just imagining it up to the point where boom, it's happening. So anyway, hope you weren't looking at the wall too long there. I was just dazing and talking. But so anyway, that's my story, and that's how this stuff kind of got started for me. And then I've just had a lot of experiences. I've had things moved. Like I said, I could talk for a long time about it, but the stuff is real. The Bigfoot's out there, but the Bigfoot's also in here. It's like in your heart or something. I don't know. They're with me somehow, or they just seem to like show up. Like, especially if I go out and go to like a new area or something, I'll come home and something will happen, or something even won't happen for a while, and I'll be like, oh, stuff kind of died down, and then I go like back out in the woods again, and boom, something happens, and I'm like, am I bringing that home, or where is it coming from? But it's just interesting to consider all these things, and I'm glad I'm able to give you guys my thoughts on the subject, because it's a touchy issue in the Bigfoot world, and people don't, you don't need to be divided. That's what I gotta say. You don't have to think, oh, are they physical beings or are they spiritual beings in some spirit form? What if they're both? What if they can, I would advise you to watch the Fur and Cedar channel, because you can hear some interesting stuff from the people on there, and they got some really interesting theories. But just considering the Sasquatch Ontario information should inspire your mind to just start expanding, because those things are happening, and then you need to find an explanation for that in your mind. However you can rationalize that, and dismissiveness is really unacceptable. So anyway, stuff happens. Happens to me. It happens in this home. It happens to a lot of people, and people, they take flack, and they want to divide you and corral you off over here and say, oh, they're in the woo camp. Well, no, we just happen to have experienced some of these things. If you haven't, so be it. You know what I mean? That's just the way it rolls. So, all right, have a good day, everybody.